Welcome to another Fast Tips video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I am your instructor, Richard Rost. Today we're going to have some fun. We're going to build a random name generator. We're going to build two different kinds of random name generators. One's going to be a jumbler, all right, this guy here, where you've got a list of first names and last names, or a list of just, people with their first name and last name, and we're going to jumble them up and just put random first name, last name pairs together. You'll get things like John Peart or Deanna Reese Davies from existing names that are in the database already. The second one we're going to build is going to be just completely random names with random sequences of characters. This is great for fantasy novelists. I've always wanted to write a fantasy novel myself, or a science fiction novel. D&D players, if you need a name for that character, can't come up with one. It's always the hardest part of the game, right? Or pharmaceutical companies. In fact, I got the idea for this video watching TV the other night. We were watching Family Feud. And these names of these drugs come on TV, and it's like, are you suffering from blah, 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 blah? Try Tunicit or Asinuate, or right? I literally think they just take a bag of Scrabble tiles, shake it up, and just pull letters out to name their drugs now. But anyways, I figured this would be a cool exercise to do with a little practice with some VBA, and it's just fun. I like having fun like this from time to time. So let's do some randomizing and some name jumbling and get out those Scrabble tiles and let's make some names. Okay, before we get started, got some prerequisites for you. This is going to be based on a bunch of other stuff you're going to have to know. If you haven't watched my intro to VBA video yet and you don't know how to program in VBA, go watch this. It's about 20 minutes long. It's not scary. It'll teach you everything you need to know. Yeah, to do this good random name generator stuff, we're going to need some VBA. But it's not, none of it's scary. It's real easy stuff, especially if you watch the videos. And these are all free. Go watch them. Go watch this video on random records, how random numbers are generated. We build a little dice roller, right? 3d6. You can tell I was a D&D player, can't you? I also show you how to return a random 25% of records, for example. So if you're doing drug testing and you got to return, like, the top 5% of whatever randomly. All right, so go watch this if you've never done randomization before in Access. Go watch my coin toss video. I just did this one a little while ago, more with randomizing and stuff. You don't have to watch this one, but this one's pretty cool. Okay, this one's a staple. Every good Access developer should have this one under their belt. You should know the DLOOKUP function to pull a value out of a table, right? We'll use it to get a random record that we pick. The NZ function, null zero. If you get a null value return from that DLOOKUP, you can put a 0 there or whatever you want. Go watch my sleep video for putting a sleep timer in your code, so you have to put a little pause in there when we're generating random numbers. And you'll see why in a few minutes. But go watch this. It'll teach you how to put a little sleep timer in your code. Status box. We're going to use a status box to return our random names, right? These are all displayed in a status box, okay? And finally, go watch If Then. Because, if something, then do something else, right? These are all free videos. They're on my website. They're on my YouTube channel. Go watch them. And yeah, there's lots of stuff you got to know to learn more stuff. So this is a lesson that's going to build on a lot of other lessons. That's how education works, folks. So if you don't know any of this stuff, go watch it and then come on back. All right, you ready to make up some D&D characters / drug names? All right, here we go. Okay, so here I am in my Tech Help free template. This is a free download. You can grab a copy off my website if you want to, or just build it yourself. It's no big deal. But I got the big long list of names for you for the name jumble. These are all my Star Trek characters and Rush band members and other cool people are in here. So, but we're going to take a name from the last name list and a name from the first name list and jumble them together. Right? Why not? Why? It's fun. No, but I honestly have seen situations where companies wanted to take like big long lists of names and jumble them together and come up with, fictitious names for whatever reason. This could also work with a team building exercise. If you got to build a team of like 3 people, right? Pick 3 names from the list. Whatever. I don't know. There's so many uses for this stuff. The examples that I sometimes pick for videos might seem silly, but the techniques that I'm teaching you can be used in lots of other ways. All right, so the first thing we have to do is build a query to pick a random first and last name. Now, I'm going to do 2 separate queries. Why? Because if you look at the list of names, I've got all first and last names. But you might have a situation where you're missing some data in either table. Let's say we're missing Bashir and we're missing Crusher from last names. And from first names, maybe we're missing Malcolm And we're missing, I don't know, we could be missing a mister. We got all 3 misters as it is. Let's get rid of 2 misters. Okay, so we don't want to obviously pick that record for a first name. So that's why I'm going to build a separate query for last name, a query for first name. Give me the top 1 random number from each, right? And then look up them and pull them in, and we can display them that way, right? Easy enough. So let's create query design. I'm going to bring in my customer T. I'm going to, you can bring in the customer ID, bring in the first name. And now we have to generate a random number over here. Okay, now if you remember from our random number video, that goes like this. R is going to be a random number seeded with the customer ID times the timer times -1. And if you don't know why I did all of that, go watch the random number video. I'm not going to explain it again. That's what I got the other videos for. All right, that's basically going to put a random number in here seeded by the current timer and the customer ID, so it's completely unique for each record. And I'm going to put over here is not null, so that we don't get any null first names. And I'll save this guy as customer random first Q, right? Random first name for the customer. If I run it now, every customer gets a random number from 0 to 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to sort it ascending. Whoops, wrong row. Sort ascending. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to say return 1 record. You can return 5 records, 100 records, 5% of the records, all the records, or just give me 1. 1 record, not 100. 1. You got to hit delete there. I want 1 record. So when I run this guy now, boom, I get Jane. See? Run it again. Boom, I got Eddie. Every time you run it, it gives you a random name. See? It's that simple. Save it. Close it. Let's copy it. Copy. Paste. See, let me show you that again, because this happens to me all the time. Normally, if you copy and paste something, watch, you go Control-C, Control-V, and it gives you that error beep. It's really weird in Access. You have to click on it, and I just noticed this started to happen recently. It must be something they changed, because it didn't used to behave like this. You got to go copy, click on it again, and then hit paste. It's weird. It's super weird. Didn't used to have that problem. I've been doing this for a long time. Long fellow. Customer random last Q. And let's go into and now we're going to take last name, do the same thing. All right, slide last name over here, make this guy is not null. Delete first name. And the random number is going to be the same. All right, save it and close it. And now we can run this, and there's Fry. And we run this, and we get Troy. See what we're going to do? We're going to run that and that together. We just happen to get Kaylee Fry. Look at that. That's the character's actual name, Firefly fans. Let's try it again. That was a fluke. First name, Christopher. Last name, Uhura. See? Okay, so what we're going to do now is use DLOOKUP to pull in those values. Okay, design view. This one will be our jumbler. All right, we'll call this jumble. Now I'm hungry. I want some jambalaya. Okay, jumble. And then let's right click and let's change the name of the button. Instead of hello world button, we'll call this the jumble button. And we're going to right click, build event. That'll open up my code builder, and it's really, really big because I was doing some work otherwise. Let's see, let's move this over here. Now we got rid of this, we got the jumble button here. We can get rid of this code here from the whole hello world button. Whenever you rename a button, any code that was in it is not going to come with. You got to go find it and delete it. I know it's a pain. We don't need this open in this class either. Okay. So for the jumble button, what am I going to do in here? Well, we need 2 variables. Yeah, I forgot to put variables on the prerequisite list. Sue me. There, go watch that if you don't know what variables are. We need a first name and a last name. For variables, basically, it's something to hold these names in that I'm going to return. So dim fn as a string and ln as a string. Guess what those stand for? Financial... No, I'm just kidding. All right, so fn is going to be equal to DLOOKUP. What are we looking up? First name. From where are we getting it? the customer random first queue that we just built, and that's all. We don't need any parameters or any criteria there because that query only returns one record, right? We don't have to demax and look up stuff and figure. No, we were just relying on the query itself to just give me one record. Okay. Now, just in case, you could wrap this in an NZ, although we already took care of that in the query too. So we shouldn't need an NZ here. It'll only return non-null values. The only way we'd have a problem is if there are no first names. Then you'll get an error. So you want to look at all possibilities. Just in case the user deletes all the first names, we're going to wrap that in an NZ, and at least they'll get that back. They'll get an empty string back. Okay? Yeah, you always got to be thinking of ways that your users are going to break your database. And they will. They'll find, oh, trust me, they'll find ways to break stuff. Okay? So if that's the case, you're going to say if fn equals blank, then maybe status, no first names. Go add some dummy, whatever, exits up. Okay? Now, at this point, we got a first name. Let's go get a last name. We're going to do the same thing. Copy, paste. Oh, look at that. Wasn't that easy? And I can even just do this. Copy, ln, 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 right? Last names. And we'll change this to last. So now we've got a last name and a first name. And we put them all together and status them out. Status, fn, and a space, and ln. And if you want to get fancy, you can put all kinds of colorful stuff in here and a sleep timer, whatever you want to do. I don't know. We'll just keep this one simple. Okay, ready? And go. Oh, hold on. See, I like to leave my mistakes in my videos. Can you see what the problem is? No? Pause the video, see if you can figure it out. Okay? Now, this is just a case of me typing too fast, and sometimes I get talking to you and I'm not paying attention to my code. Now, the next step to do if you get this problem is, it says the expression you entered as a query parameter produced this error first name. In other words, it doesn't know what first name is. The clue is you got to know which one of these queries is generating that error. So hit debug, and it takes you there. That's the line that caused the problem. It's trying to find first name in customer random last queue. This query doesn't have a first name field. You see what the problem is? So I goofed. I copied and pasted the code, and I forgot to change that guy. Okay? There you go. And for those of you that complain that I leave the bugs in my code and my videos, well, too bad, because for every one of you that complains, 10 people tell me that they like to see my mistakes. So I leave them in the videos now. I used to cover them up and go back and change it. No, that's good, because trust me, if I make these mistakes, you are too. If you think it's a waste of time, go watch someone else's videos. Sorry. Bye. Beat it. Okay, here we go. Ready? Save it once in a while. Give me a debug compile, just to make sure. And then go. Christopher Pike, John Reese Davies, Hoban Washburn. Oh, I'm getting, what's all this? I'm getting all the actual names. Julian Lifeson, that's weird. Reginald, is Julian Lifeson an actual? Oh, you know what? That one probably had, I remember I got rid of Bashir. That one had a blank one. All right, Reginald Barkley. These are all Mr. Data. These are all regular names. What's happening? What's going on? Well, and it took me a second to figure this out the first time too. If you think about it, the timer, this code runs so fast, okay, that the timer is essentially the same value. So our seed doesn't have a chance to give it a different timer seed. It literally, to the millisecond, is exactly the same. So we need a short pause in here. That's why I had you watch the sleep video. You need a tiny, tiny pause between these two. 1 second should be more than enough. Let me try it. Sleep 1000. And did I put the sleep? Oh, I didn't put the sleep code in here, did I? I did not. Let's go get the sleep code. We need to do create module. Got to go to my website and get the free source code out of the code vault. There's sleepsec. And all we really need is this guy here. We don't need sleepsec. We just need sleep. Because we can just do it by milliseconds. That's all you need is that line of code right there. All right, drop it in here. Paste it. That's it. That's all you need. Save it. We'll call this my global module. Just like I did in the sleep video. Okay, now let's go back. We can get to there from here. Okay, now let's go back in here. We got sleep 1000. So it's going to generate this. Wait a second. And a second is an eternity for a computer. Okay, so now when I run this, jumble them up. Tom Yar. Regina Pike. We're good. Tasha Washburn. It's mixing them up. We could probably get away with less of a, let's put 100. Let's put a 1/10 of a second delay in there, see if we're good. Eddie Worf, Regina Lee. Yep. That's enough of a delay. Like I said, a second is an eternity. Okay. See how that works? Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see it better. I normally keep the status box small because it's only for occasional messages. But if it's the center of the class, right? Look good? Okay. So that's the name jumbler. That was easy. That was super simple. Now comes the good part. Now comes the completely random name generator. Okay, what I'm going to do for this is, along the same lines as jumbling a first name and a last name, I'm going to jumble vowels and consonants together. In addition, I'm also going to add vowel sounds and consonant sounds, consonant groupings and vowel groupings. So for example, a lot of names will have like double O or EE, all right? A lot of names, a lot of consonants will have pairs, right? Like DR or MP or GH or, diphthongs, those kinds of things. So we're going to make two tables, one for vowels and vowel sounds, and diphthongs are vowel sounds. My brain doesn't work all the time. And one for consonants and letter groupings. Okay? Now, I've already put these together, so I'm just going to copy them from my other database and show them to you. I'm not going to make you watch me recreate these tables. So here's the vowels, click and drop, and here's the consonants, click and drop. Okay? Now, let's take a look. Here's the vowel table, name vowel T. Okay? What I've gotten here is there's an ID, auto number, no big deal. All right? Here's the actual vowel itself. You got A, E, I, O, U, and Y. Then you've got the double pairs, right? A, A, E, E, I, O, O, U, U. I feel like I'm going to sing like A, E, I, O, that kind of stuff. And then we've got the random pairings of all the vowels together. Pretty much it's every vowel with every other vowel, because these could appear in names. Okay? Now, over here, I've got a weight. And the weight is going to be multiplied by the random number so that the vowels with the higher weights will show up more often. Because something like AY is not going to show up as often as an O. I did the same thing with the consonants. Let me show you the consonants. Okay, here's the consonants. Again, here's your consonant list, all the basic letters. Okay, and then I've got a weight over here. And if I sort these by weight, let me sort these largest. The top ones with the highest weight, those are your Wheel of Fortune letters, right? They're always in words, right? R, S, T, L, and N. Those are the most popular consonants. They're the most found in names. Okay, and I just generated these weights based on my trial and experience with this. So I built this sample randomizer first just to make sure I can run through it and do it, and it would work well. And these are the values that I came up with that look good. You might want to adjust them if you want more R's in your database. Jack that up to 2.5. I don't know, whatever. Okay, here's these ones are a little less common than these, but still more common, right? And so on down the line. You get down here to the good Scrabble letters. Z, V, X, right? Q. I put Y down here because Y as a vowel shows up a lot more often than Y as a consonant. Obviously, if you're a pharmaceutical company, you want to take these guys, Z, V, X, and Q, and jack those values way up. It seems like every drug I see advertised on TV has a Q, a Z, and a V in it. Visacorx, or something, right? I'm not making this up. All right, and then I put down here all the random. I just looked at lists. Honestly, I went online. I googled random, lists of baby names, and these are just pairs of letters that you commonly see in names, like GH, ST, PP. Yeah, I've seen some PPs together. Okay, like pepper, PEPPER. Obviously, every pair is not going to work. I mean, if you look at even the stuff that I generated for the title slide. Right? Not every name is going to be perfect. I actually deleted a couple that looked kind of funny when I was running this. Asulita Asalatus. That's a cool name, right? Salat, whatever. But they're not all going to be perfect, folks. But they're good enough if you're looking for like something to, give you some inspiration for your character name. You're writing that great American novel, right? Okay, so these are the tables. The queries are going to work pretty much the same way as the ones we built before. And again, I've already got them built. Same thing. I'm just going to copy them up here. There's the vowel one. Here's the consonant one. All right, random vowel, random consonant. Okay, now you'll see it works the same way. Give me the name consonant and look over here. That's a goof, actually. This doesn't matter because this value isn't actually red. That's why it worked for me before, but this should be the consonant. Or R. Leave it as R. Doesn't matter. Okay, this value is inconsequential. What you're actually looking up is this. All right, but notice what I did here. I generated the random number in the same way using the timer and the ID, okay? But I multiplied it by weight. So the letters that I want showing up more often that have a higher weight are going to go up the list. And I initially tried with like 1 to 10, but that was too much because the 10s far outweighed the 1s. That's why I brought it down. So right now it's a number roughly between 1 and 2. That seems to be a good distribution. Okay? All right. So save that. And again, this number here doesn't matter. That could, again, just be R. Okay. All right. So now comes the fun part, the code. So you got the tables and the queries, right? I walked through building them the first time. It's the exact same thing, adding the weight for this one too, just slightly different. Okay. So let's make a jumble. Let's make a random name button here. Copy, paste. Put this over here. We'll use the same status box, right? Randomizer. Okay, and we'll call this random button. Right click, build event. All right, now I am going to make a function that will return the random name because I want to do it twice to get a first name and a last name, and I don't want to duplicate all the code. Okay, so let's say give me s equals, let's make a dim s as a string. And s equals get random name. And then we'll just status s to see what it is, whatever we get. We'll put that here. Okay, so we're going to go private. That means only this form can use it. Function, that means it returns a value. As opposed to a subroutine, which does not return a value. Right? A function is going to return a value. Let's call it get random name. It's going to take in no parameters. We might change that in a minute. And then we're going to return a string. So as string. Okay. Now, I want to determine a minimum length and a maximum length for each name. Let's say a minimum length is going to be 3, and a maximum length would be 8. So I make those constants. Constant min length equals 3. And we'll do max length equals 8. Okay? We're going to add together letters until we reach that value. In fact, we'll randomize the actual length itself. How's that sound? So let's dim name length, name len, as a long. That's going to be the actual length of our name. We're going to decide what it is. It's got to be between 3 and 8 characters. So I basically want to take a random number from 0 to 5, right? And then add 3 to it. Okay? So we're going to say name length equals int random times max length minus min length, right? 8 minus 3, 5. And then to that, we're going to add min length. Okay? This gives us 5. So we're going to get a random number. Actually, we got to add 1 to this, right? Because this only will give us a number from 0 to 4. Max length is 8 minus min length is 3. That's 5. So random up to 5 means 0 through, but not including 5. So we actually have to add 1 to this. Okay? So that will give us a number from 0 to 5. And now we're going to add 3 back to it. And before we do that, let's throw in a randomize. And I like to test stuff every step of the way. So let's status name length and just see what we're getting. Right now, when I push the button, all I'm going to get is a bunch of numbers. They should fall between 3 and 8 every time. Let's see. 8, 8, 8, 7, 3, I'm looking for 2s or 9s. I'm not seeing any. I think we're good. Okay, we're good. All right, so that's going to be the length of the name we're generating. Why am I getting the extra spaces? What's going on? Interesting. All right, so we've got our length there. Now we need to know if we're going to start with a vowel or not. Some names can start with vowels, right? Alan, Eddie, right? So I'm going to say is vowel, which we need to make a variable for. I do this a lot. You don't always, as a programmer, you don't always line up your variables ahead of time and, make a big long list of them. No, you're dimming them as you're going along. In fact, it's technically allowed to dim stuff down here if you want to, but it's considered good programming to dim them all at the top of the subroutine or the function, right? Is vowel as a Boolean, all right? And definitely dim your variables. And up top here, make sure you have option explicit set. I got a whole video about that. It'll help you find compile errors when stuff's not working right. Very, very important. Okay, I turned it off in my database years ago because I thought it was a nuisance. And a big mistake, as I found out over the next couple of years. Okay, how are we going to determine if it's a vowel or not? How about we flip a coin? That's fine, 50-50, right? Equals coin toss. What's a coin toss, you ask? Well, that's the whole reason why I had you watch that coin toss video. Let's go grab the coin toss code. Now, I went over to the code vault and grabbed it. You guys are going to have to either join as gold members to get into the code vault or do a little typing right there. There's not much. That's the coin toss function, right? It just returns a little, right? If it generates a random number and then returns a heads or tails, true or false. Okay, that's the benefit of being a member, folks. Gold members can just go into the code vault and get this stuff. All right, anyway, so now we have a coin toss. So now let's just, again, we do our checking, right? Status, coin, and then is vowel. Make sure everything's working. Save it. Yep. Come back out here. Hit the button. True, false, true, false, true, false, true, false. Okay. Everybody good? Everybody happy? All right. Back in here. It was bugging me, by the way. I couldn't figure out why I'm getting that extra line break, even though this one works fine. You know why? I'm statusing something as a test here. I threw a status X in there. And guess what this guy does? It gets random name, and then it does a status X down here. So, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. So that's why we're getting that extra line break in there. I'm like, why is it? Why? Okay, so I know whether to start on a vowel or not. So now we're going to say the whole name itself is going to go into another variable. We'll call it N for the whole name. N, not Z, N as a string. And then I'm going to look up one character at a time from those queries, the consonant query and the vowel query. So we'll call that C, the character, as a string. Okay, and I think that's all we need as far as variables go. Now, let's start our loop where N is nothing. So we got an empty character, or empty string for the name. Okay, now we're going to use a while loop. I don't have a fast tip or a tech help video for while loops yet. I'm probably going to make one soon, but if you can't wait, I cover them in Access Developer Level 12. By the way, if you're wondering why I make you jump around between a lot of different videos, well, that's because when we're doing these tech help and fast tips videos, that's just how it is. You got to know this, you got to know that, you got to know this to do what we're doing in class. But in my full course, my developer series, for example, I teach you things. Level 1 follows level, the one before. I went backwards. Level 12 follows level 11, follows level 10. So in every level, you're learning a little bit more, and they build on each other, and I don't make it jump around like this. So don't think in my full courses I'm like, well, go watch this video and then come back and go, no, that's not how it works. Okay? In my full course, you watch them one after the other, and they're designed to be continuous. Okay. All right, so while loop. While the length of N is less than or equal to the name length. So we're going to keep looping and adding letters as long as the length of N is less than the name length. The name that we've already chosen is the length we've already chosen for our name. Now, it might not be exactly that. the name might go over by 1, for example, because some of the consonants and vowels are double letters. Some of them actually I think are 3. We have a 3. I got an RST as a 3. Oh, I got an EIGH as a vowel sound. So that's a suggested. I mean, it's random, so it could be a little bit more, a little bit less. Whatever. All right, wend down here. Now, if is vowel, then we want to pick a consonant. Okay? Because we're on a vowel. I want to pick a consonant now. So C equals D lookup name consonant from name consonant. I always spell consonant wrong. Name consonant random Q. And you shouldn't need an NZ there because you control this table. Don't let the users delete everything. Okay? Else C equals D lookup name vowel from name vowel random Q. End if. Okay? Now, what I also want to say at this point is, if it's the first letter of the name, capitalize it. Otherwise, leave it lowercase. All the letters in the table are lowercase. Leave them that way. All right, but if it's the first letter, capitalize it. So we're going to say if the length of n is 0. So if we're still at an empty string, you could even say if n equals empty string still, then C equals UCase C. Or capitalize that guy. Okay? Now, tack C onto the name, n equals n and C, a little string. Oop, I put it in the wrong place. What's going on here? Get down there. N equals n and C, right? N equals n and C. Sometimes spacing matters. Did you see what just happened? Right? I typed it in like that, and it said it was an error. Yeah, sometimes the VB editor is funky like that. Sometimes it wants spacing, especially around ampersands. See? Weird. It's picky. It's finicky. Like one of my kids. Okay, so now we got to flip the vowel. So if it was a vowel and we got a consonant, flip it back. So we're going to just say, watch it, this is simple. Is vowel equals not is vowel. That flips it. If it's true, it makes it false. If it's false, it makes it true. And again, if you want to change the distribution, if you want more consonants than vowels, fine. Roll a random number here. If you want 1/3 vowels, 2/3 consonants, do it there. Put the math in there. All right? Pick a random R. Find out what it is. Right? If R is greater than, 0.67, then make it a vowel. However you want to handle it. These are your Legos, folks. Put them together however you want to. Now, like we learned earlier, we need a tiny, tiny sleep timer here. So sleep 100 milliseconds. That should be enough for the timer to move on to the next seed. Okay, you don't want too big of one here because that'll go before each letter. So it's going to take a little bit. You might even want to drop that to 50, but 100 works fine for me. Okay, now, when this loop is over, that means the length of n is now greater than the name length. So we're one greater than the name length. You might even want to make this less than. Because once you hit name length, you want to stop. All right? If it's equal to name length, drop out. Okay. Now we got to return the function value. So get random name equals n. That's it. We should have one random name now. Are you ready? Here we go. Randomizer. O2. Sweet. We got Ilarisu. That's a pharmaceutical name. Ilarisu. Are you suffering from irritable bowels and deadly nightmares and whatever? Oot. Oh, that's a weird one. Why'd we get two capital? Oh, I know why. I know why. That's interesting. Because the consonant the vowel that it picked is a double vowel sound, and it just so happened to pick a double O, and it capitalized that. All right, so, I mean, we could write code to suffer that problem, to figure that out and get around it. I would probably say we could force the first character to be one that's a single character. There's a lot of ways around this, folks. But since this is just a randomizer and you're going to look at it and pick what you want, okay, for now, we'll just move on past it. Assessi. That's the name of the tavern owner in town in my D&D group. Assessi. No, just kidding. Rill, Ahazor. These could also be Marvel comic superhero and villain names as well. All right, now we need a second one though. Let's give me a second one. So random name and a space and get random names. So now we're gonna get two names. Okay, ready? Here we go. Randomizer. There we go. A her illegit illegit. that's too legit to quit. What else we got? Enut Tan. That's a cool name. Like River Tam. And you could even do a jumble where you pick a real first name and randomize the last name. Oh, that'd be a fun project. You can do that for homework. Pull out a random first name and then randomize the last name. That's sweet, huh? Or vice versa. See, they're not all going to make complete sense, but sometimes you get a really cool one. If you are working for a pharmaceutical company, by the way, and you're planning on using this randomizer for your next drug name, I get 0.01% of proceeds as a royalty fee for you using my code. Okay, I specified it. It'll be in writing. Or I'll settle for if you sign everybody in your company up as a member. Okay. There you go. Now, generally, first names tend to be shorter than last names. So what we can do is we could actually send max length up here as a variable instead of making it a constant. I mean, you could send both of these if you want to. Hold on, someone's about to beam in. Sweet. That's my hourly chime. It just chimed 9 o'clock, so I have my database gives me a transporter noise, and it reboots. I use my Access Updater, which is a piece of software that I wrote that updates your Access database at whatever interval you specify. Yeah, it's my video. I get to advertise my own stuff. And now it's time for an advertisement from our sponsor. No, Access Updater. It's used so if you've got multiple people on your network, you can make changes on your database and then push it up to the server, and then the server updates everybody else. Makes that process so much easier. But I'm the only person in my office, but I use it for myself because I have a server machine that runs over here next to me on a shelf, and it does all the cool website stuff. It processes this, it sends out newsletters, it does, all that cool nifty stuff. And I also use it so once an hour, I have it reboot my database because I've found in my 30 years almost of working with Access that Access runs better if you don't leave it running too long. If you at least once a day restart your database. Okay? I mean, there's always memory leaks and little things, but I have mine restart every hour. Once every hour, the updater restarts the database. It just shuts it down and restarts it. And once every day at 6 a.m., I have my system programmed to reboot Windows. So that's a whole nother process, but I figured I'd just share that. So there's end of advertisement. End of tangent. So anyways, you could send both of these values in here if you want to. But I'll just send, well, I might as well. Let's send them both in. Let's say optional min length as a long, and the optional value is 3, and then optional max length as a long equals 8. All right, now we can get rid of the constants. And if you don't send anything up here, you get 3 and 8, but you can specify. So you can come down here and say, I want a random name, minimum 5, maximum, actually, okay, so for the first name, it could be shorter. It could be 2,7 for the first name. And for the last name, these tend to be longer. Let's go 5,10. Okay. And yeah, you could have short last names too, like Wu or whatever. Okay. But let's see what we get now. Okay. Alais Solarusi. Yeah, see, now you're getting slightly longer last names. They're not all going to be. But, But that's pretty cool, right? There's a double O again. Oh, it's going to bother me now. All right, what we're going to do in that case is we're not going to UCase it here inside the loop because we could pick a character that is going to be a double, or even you could even get the EIGH as a first character. So what we'll do is we'll capitalize it down here. So we're going to say n equals UCase left of n comma 1. So uppercase that first character, and L case. I mean, they're all going to be L case anyways, but just in case you put a capital letter in the table, this will fix it. L case n, or excuse me, right of n, comma, how many characters? The length of n minus 1. So if it's 10, you want the right 9 characters. Get that? Okay, so that should fix that problem. See? I want the left one and then the right all the rest of them. Length of n minus 1. Now let's try it. We should not get our ooh problem anymore. Ooh, fancy. Ooh. One other thing I did, I don't know if I put it in this table or not. I might have gotten rid of it. But did I put them in here? No. Did I put them in here? Let's see. No. Oh, there they are. There they are. They're in the vol table. I put dashes and apostrophes. Like my fiance's last name is D'Angelo with an apostrophe, D apostrophe A. You could have a dash in there for hyphenated names. They don't show up that often. You could increase the weight if you want to. And then, of course, you could put in code. You could run down the string and say, if you see a hyphen or a apostrophe, capitalize the next character. You can get really crazy with this stuff. But I just show you how to get started. And then if you want to see more, you know what to do. Put a comment down below and say, I want to see how to do that. That's how I make these videos. Sometimes, like today, I just do one because I want to have fun. And I'm enjoying it. And I like to do this stuff. And I saw a commercial, and it was a really weird. I can't even remember the name of the drug. But I'm like, that would be a cool video to randomly generate. And I think I wrote a random name generator years ago for, like I said, for a fantasy role-playing game. But this has business, practical business application, especially if you're a pharmaceutical company. Okay. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Did you guys have some fun? I liked it. I had a good time. That's what I do for a living. I goof around with Access, and I love doing it. So I hope you guys enjoy watching me be a goof and do stuff with Access, and I hope you learned something and had some fun while learning it. If nothing else, it was a good little practice for your VBA skills. And yeah. What's today? Today's Friday. You guys have a good weekend. I'll see you on Monday. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and post any comments you may have. I do try to read and answer all of them as soon as I can. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is completely free, and click on the bell icon to select all to receive notifications when new videos are posted. Make sure you click the Show More link down below the video to find additional resources and links. You'll see a list of other videos, additional information related to the current topic, free lessons, and lots more. YouTube no longer sends out email notifications when new videos are posted, so if you'd like to get an email every time I post a video, click on the link to join my mailing list. Even if you don't want to become a member, feel free to donate to my tip jar. Your patronage is greatly appreciated and will help keep these free videos coming. I got puppies to feed. How do you become a member? Click on the Join button below the video. After you click the Join button, you'll see a list of all the different membership levels that are available, each with its own special perks. Silver members and up will get access to all of my extended cut tech help videos, one free beginner class each month, and more. Gold members get access to download all of the sample databases that I build in my tech help videos, plus my code vault, where I keep tons of different functions that I use. You'll also get a higher priority if you decide to submit any tech help questions to me, and you'll get one free expert class each month after you've finished the beginner series. Platinum members get all the previous perks, plus even higher priority for tech help questions, access to all of my full beginner courses for every subject, and one free developer class each month after you finish the expert classes. These are the full-length courses found on my website, not just for Access, too. I also teach Word, Excel, Visual Basic, and lots more. You can now become a Diamond sponsor and have your name or company name listed on a sponsors page that will be shown in each video as long as you're a sponsor. You'll get a shout-out in the video and a link to your website or product in the text below the video and on my website. But don't worry, these free tech help videos are going to keep coming. As long as you keep watching them, I'll keep making more, and they'll always be free. Now, if you have not yet tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access. It's over 4 hours long, and I just updated it for 2021. You can find it on my website or on my YouTube channel. I'll include a link below that you can click on. And also, If you like level 1, level 2 is just $1. Yep, that's all, $1, and it's free for all members of my YouTube channel at any level, even supporters. Want to have your question answered in a video just like this one? Visit my tech help page on my website. You can send me your question there. While you're on my site, feel free to stop by the Access Forum. Lots of good conversations happening there. Be sure to follow my blog, find me on Twitter, and of course, YouTube. Once again, my name is Richard Ross. Thank you for watching this tech help video brought to you by accesslearningzone.com. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something today. I'll see you again soon.